coxswain friends, what were some of the coxswain responsibilities we came up with last week?
Steering.
Steering, big one.
Motivation.
Motivation, yeah.
Correcting technique.
Yeah. Two more.
Safe.
Sorry, what was that?
Didn't we go over keeping everyone safe?
Yeah, that's, I think, yeah, like safety and steering. Can we think of maybe two more? Some of them might have been separate. Patty's like, please just go to the next slide. I can see your face.
Sorry, are these ones that we're recalling, or can we add a new or
We can add new ones, yeah. I mean, the next slide is going to be some of the ones we came up with last week, but new ones are also good.
maybe it folds into one of the ones you already said, but I would say too, like calling a really effective race.
Yeah. Yeah.
Strategy, you mean?
Strategy, race strategy. Running an efficient practice, maybe too.
I would say management.
Yeah.
Like, I give the coxswain a drill, the coxswain executes, but if they can't manage everything, then it falls apart.
Yeah, and we definitely talked about that last week too. Like, coxswain helps keep everyone on task, or they can. Let's see. Nope. There we go. Safety, steering, motivation, leadership, technical corrections. I think we covered it. I think racing could probably fall under this big like motivation and leadership thing. Yeah. Thanks, guys. All right. Boat feel. Coxswains. How would you define boat feel? Oops, sorry. Anyway, please keep.
Like knowing if the boat is like going well without the rowers having to tell you about it, like just knowing if like a call is effective or not based on the way the boat's feeling.
Yeah, it's like, well, my next slide I wrote, if you were to close your eyes, yikes, like how would you be able to tell what's going on in the boat? Like the rowers will sometimes do like an eyes closed drill, and you should just be able to feel what's going on. But coxswains can also develop like a similar boat feel.
I would add to that, I agree, and I would add that it's almost like if you're in a bow loader 4, like that's where boat feel is so elevated because you can't see. So different boat than an 8, and I know this is more about the 8, but it's, yeah, whether I like that sort of analogy of whether your eyes are shut for a moment or if like suddenly you're in a bow loader 4.
Yeah, that's I think that's probably a better analogy for.
You can shut your eyes too, like.
I would be totally terrified if a coxswain shut their eyes. So I like that analogy a lot.
Okay.
I know not all of our coxswains have been in a bow loader 4, but some of our newer coxswains, you can't see anything that's going on, so you kind of have to feel it out.
Colleen, 2 years ago, I think it was, you were coxing the Orion 8 at Club Nationals. And afterwards, the girls told me that at some point in the race, you just said, this is good, or you've got it, or something like that. You just like said, we don't need to do anything more. We've got it. And what was it that you like felt that you just like, it was clicking, you just knew it?
Yeah. Oh, that was so much fun. It was such a joy to jump back into a boat, and especially one that went that fast. For me, especially in that scenario, which was a time trial and a 2,000 meter race. So you can it's sort of like a heat. It's just that it's a time trial. So you're on your own. And so we knew we needed to be like at a certain speed, but we didn't need to go crazy. Again, kind of same analogy as if you're in a heat and you just need to finish top 2 and you're ahead. But for me, what that feels like in a boat is the connection at the front. So you can feel that as a coxswain. It's when everyone's putting their blades in the water at the same time. But more than that, they're also connecting with the water, meaning they're connecting with the water before they press their legs down. So what that feels to you as a coxswain is you're sitting in the seat and you don't feel a jolt. Like you feel connected. You feel like unified movement of the boat, versus something that might feel more like spinning up at the front, or just doesn't feel as effective. And so for me in that moment in the race, it's like we're at the right stroke rate. I think we're probably around a 36 or 37, which I knew was right where we wanted to be. I could feel that connection at the front. And again, as a coxswain, like I'm trying to pick the right words, but truly it's just a feeling where you can sense everyone locking in and pushing the boat as one. And that's when their legs come down. So you can feel that. And then the last part is like the run. So we're at 36 or 37 strokes per minute. They're locking in at the same time and accelerating the boat. And I can feel that they're accelerating together. And as a result, the shell is running out and we're getting really solid run. And it was like whatever part of the race that was, maybe it was 1,500 meters to go or at the 1,000 mark. It's like, that's exactly where we needed to be. And at that point, it's just like a machine. You just want to cruise to the finish line, sort of cruise control. Yeah.
Great.
Awesome. Thanks. Yeah, and so how coxswains can develop that kind of boat feel, I think like just kind of listening to your coach, maybe try and pick up on the technical feedback they're giving rowers, asking your coach questions like, why did you pick that drill? Like what's the purpose of that? Asking your coach what they're looking for in the rowers. Like some coaches have like a very clear vision of what they want the rowers to look like when they're rowing, what they want them to feel. Watching video and taking notes.
Yeah, and I would just echo that. You just said it, Savannah, but the drills part I think is so key, because when you do like cat, whatever drill you call for, say it's something like the top quarter, which is just where, the athletes are like putting their blades in and just pressing the boat, the top 25% of the stroke. It's like, that's a moment where that lock on that I was just talking about, you should feel. So it's not a catch drill. They're actually locking in and starting to press back a little bit. And that's the connection with the water. So that specific drill is elevating that connection. And when you I think that's a good point, Savannah. It's like when you start linking those and knowing what each part of the stroke should feel like ideally, then you can be in the boat and sit back and say like, actually we're getting tired. So we're flopping at the catch. We're dropping our blades in and we're tired. So we're not having that lock on before we push the legs down. But I think that's smart, that like associating it with drills, I think can help in the learning stages, especially.
Yeah. So it's not like you're just building up like a repertoire of random drills. You actually know what they work on and you have like a whole like artillery to fix problems.
Totally.
Yeah. Have you ever like looked at rowing and almost kind of had a sound effect for it? Like if I see like really good rowing, I'm watching like watching the Henley Royal videos or something, I almost like want to make a sound effect to a really good looking accelerating stroke. And I don't know if that, like, to me, if I kind of see that sound effect almost in a stroke, that's how I can identify that person is accelerating the handle or they're not.
Do any of the coxswains on the call use their voice when they think about like what Kat just described? So that moment, because I can think of a couple off the top of my head, like when you're coxing, and I think this is especially true of long steady state rows where you don't just want to be talking endlessly for long periods of time. Like, are there any sounds that you guys think about or that you sort of like make while you're coxing in lieu of words?
I like a good cha every now and then. A little bit more drawn out than that, but.
And where do you say it?
Usually like at the catch as they're driving through the catch.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah, cha, I love that one, especially on like long steady state rows, like sha. Or sometimes it'll just be like drop. Like if we're doing something focused on the catch, like lock or drop or whatever, just quick, like hits like that. Is that what you mean, Kat, when you're thinking of like sounds, like where?
Yeah, and just from in watching video, I don't know what I try and look for an acceleration, and it just like shoo, like I just want to say it when I see it. I just want to be like shoo.
What if a coxswain made that sound effect while coxswain?
But does like can you feel that in the boat? Can you feel like a zoom when they have a really good accelerating stroke? Yeah.
Cool.
Nice. Let's see. It might be videos next, and this is going to be questionable. Oh yeah. Okay, so videos are on the next slide, and this is where it gets questionable. But as we're looking at these videos, I want you guys to pick out 2 to 3 changes you would suggest to the rower, and I want you to relate why it's important to boat movement. Try to be as specific as you can. And then I want you to highlight 2 to 3 technical strengths of the rower and why those strengths are important. Right. Let's see if these videos work.
You're cursed because Manny asked for you to pause at the catch, so.
Oh.
Forever paused at the catch.
Yeah.
Oh. This might be one we have to pull up on our own screens.
This was a pretty amazing place to row in Tempe, Arizona.
Oh, wow.
All right, guys. So everyone has the link to the Google Drive, right? Let's go ahead and just pull it up on our screens here. You can keep Zoom open and do that.
Can you remind me the name of that, Savvy?
I think the drive is just called Summer Coxing Development for the folder. And so as we're watching this video, we're trying to find 3 good things that we like, and then 3 technical suggestions. Kat, were you able to find it?
No, I'm still looking.
No. I'm gonna try and share it with you right now. I think I just shared it with you. It's Christy and Mo.
This is sorry, there we go. I get bounced back and forth between my Saratoga Rowing and my
I have
personal one, so I got it. I
I
got it.
have like 3 or 4 Google accounts, and I never know which one I'm on until I see what I'm locked out of. All right. Does anyone have 3 things they like about this crew?
Thought they had really nice suspension and therefore run. So that's kind of 2 things. But because they were suspending so well, they were sending the boat off really nicely.
I felt like watching this video, I could feel the boat pick up.
Mm.
They were also just perfectly connected, like their knees are rising.
So we're going through a couple of things that they can work on.
We're doing good things right now.
Oh, sorry.
We're starting with the easy one.
I muted my not the video. I muted my whole thing. So I think they come out of the bow just a little bit differently. Like the hands, Christy's hands and Mo's hands move away from their body just a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
I also think Christy can be in bow, can be a little bit lazy getting her blade fully in the water. So you can see like Christy almost catches up to Mo before the knees come up.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably like to see Mo get just a little bit more shoulders in front of hips.
Mm-hmm. She
does push her hips into that, like she gets her hips going before the shoulders open, but she doesn't have quite enough shoulders in front of hips.
Yeah, that was something I wrote down too. Like when she was coming out to set her body,
Yeah,
it's just a little upright. Patty.
So yeah, you can see it. Actually, you can see it best in the blades at the finish, and how quickly they lose parallel points right at the finish. Right as they're extracting, they become less parallel as they leave the water. They make it back to parallel, but there's a space there where they're not.
Kat, I don't know if this is wrong, but do you feel like bow seat could compress a little bit more, or is that just my eye being weird?
Yeah, she's tough to rig because she has a 36 inseam and also very short arms. So I would like to get her a little. Normally you get like long arms with long legs, but she only has short arms and long legs and a short torso. So it's really tough to get her knees out of her way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, but yes, I think it's a good call. I would like her to get a little more compression, but I was also trying to make sure she could keep her seat behind her shoulders, like Manny was talking in that power position. If she wanted to get more compression, she would end up with her seat not behind her shoulders. They would be straight up. She would have to lean back to do it.
I just want to hear from some people we haven't heard from yet. So, Patty, I would love to know what is one thing that you really like technically about this crew.
Can I say one thing that I think they can improve on?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, bring it, Patty.
I think I just personally think it's easier to point out good things, but if you have an improvement, that's awesome too.
I think Bao is getting their blades in a little too fast. Like not like it wasn't horrible, but like it's a little too fast, I think.
Yeah. When I slowed it down, the catch timing was a little bit different. Just a little bit. That's a good eye, Patty. Who else do we have? Caitlin. One improvement or one good thing?
A good thing I saw was that both of their elbows were long through the drive. They didn't break them too early, just right at the finish. And they had really good finish timing.
That was a lot of work to get those elbows straight, Caitlin. So they, Mo especially, would thank you for that compliment. That was 2 years.
Kira.
I think this was already mentioned, but the main thing I noticed is I thought they were doing a good job getting their like legs down and knees down together. Someone might have already said that though. I'm not sure.
That's a really good point. That's one of the first things that I look at in a crew to figure out if they're a well-matched crew. The first thing that I look at is to see if their legs go down together.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Kathy.
Yeah, I think going along with Kira, like, I think they were really in sync, and it seemed like they've been, like, together for a while. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Watson.
I would say that like they did a really good job like staying in sync for some of the more like choppy bits, because I saw like the bow and stern like sort of sinking occasionally, and I don't know if that's like from wake or anything, but I did like think that if that was from like wake or wave or anything, they did a good job like keeping the catch staying in sync, and something that'd be kind of difficult to move through.
Yeah, good point. That does that water was not wakey, but it was always like it's like a bowl. The whole thing is this, because there's cement on the sides. It's like you're in a bathtub, and it just kind of waves back and forth. One thing that I would say, can I say another good thing?
Yeah, go for it.
So even this, like not at race pace, just kind of going along. Nice looking puddles.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something like that. It would be good for coxswains to just like study puddles a little bit. Notice when the boat's going really well, like what do the puddles look like?
Maybe our next presentation will just be about puddles.
Puddles.
Carson.
That's a great name for a dog for a coxswain. Puddles.
I was like, Carson, no.
Oh, no, not Carson. Sorry, Carson. No, I meant puddles.
They look pretty like smoothed, and like the timing was pretty good.
Yeah, they're very smooth. All right.
Can I add
That one?
Oh, wait, I think, Carson, were you saying something else?
Manny wanted to say something.
Manny, go.
One of the things that I picked up and want to add is their length at the catch and how their hands are outside the gunnels. And that is definitely something you can see right from the stern. And I guess I've never sat in a coxswain seat with a crew that was any good. I have been in the coxswain seat, but their blade length, and that is something that I have coaching the varsity guys on, but getting out here, getting their hands outside of the gunnel is an indicator of speed that I really like.
Yeah, Colleen, in a sweep boat in an 8, what do you look for to cue for a good length cue?
I was just thinking that. I was like, that would be my call for compression, for length at the front. So in my mind, there's either length that you can get at the front end of the stroke or length at the back end of the stroke. But especially in sprint racing, I think, I mean, really both ends of the stroke, but especially in sprint racing when it can feel like time is moving too fast and you come out of the gate really fast. And as you get tired, you're going to not even notice that maybe your crew is getting a little bit shorter at the catch. I mean, really like 500 meters in, like pretty early in the race, I'll call for compression. So we've come out of our start sequence. We might have even already settled into our base pace at 500. We probably have. But that's the time where I really want them to sit up and compress and compress into into the seat, into the stern, and that gives them that little bit back to that like top quarter drill that we mentioned in the beginning, that little bit of extra length. So it's compress and sit up. And usually those two phrases are together because I don't just want them to compress in, I want them to compress and sit up, and that'll give them length at the front. And then throughout, a race, I might ask for like a little bit of length at the back end if I feel like we're getting shorter at the finish. That kind of comes back to boat feel. If I feel like the blades are slipping out a little bit early, or maybe as people get tired, the blades stop coming out at the same time, or even in a steady state row in a practice, right? But in this moment, the frame that we're looking at, I would ask for like compression and to sit up at the front to get that little bit of extra length.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Can I add one more thing?
Yeah, go for it.
I think they had a good ratio. Like the recovery was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Skill is so key. I think especially with junior crews, it takes a long time to teach. But when they get it, mwah. All right.
What's something that you can see sitting in the stern of an 8, other than trying to just like count the time on the slide and the time on the drive? What's something you can see that will help or help them, or a call you can make that will help? I'm thinking on puddles. Like a lot of times if I want a boat to adjust their ratio a little bit more, I might ask the coxswain to try and get more distance between their puddles, like push the puddles back further. And yes, you do that by pushing harder, but you also do that by like letting a little more time happen on the recovery before you put the blade in the water. So, if you're saying, all right, that's a 24 strokes a minute, but we're only getting 4 feet between our puddles, we can try and push for 5 feet between our puddles, and maybe that we can do that with power, or we can do that by just lengthening out our time on the slide, right?
I feel like that's the better way to do it, because then you get better boat speed. But another way I think about it technically is getting the bodies to move out of bow together. So if I'm in a steady state practice, and like I like the idea of the puddles first if you feel like boat speed is dropping and it needs to be somewhere else. But I also feel like sometimes too, once the bodies, especially from the finish to body over, stop moving together, then that like run that we just talked about can start to deteriorate.
Can I jump in, Savannah?
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting because I had my opinion, but I want to hear what Kat and Colleen said. And it's completely different than what they said and like what I would tell them. But I'm learning a lot, so I'm glad I came. I would tell my crews to dig their heels in and try and use their hamstrings to come up to the catch, especially like younger crews that they're racing. So they take their shoes, they hook their toes around the shoes, and they pull up to the catch versus dig their heels down and draw their way up. So we'll do a lot of like feet out rowing to get that feeling in practice. And then when we're doing a piece, I'll say, recognize the feeling between the draw and the pull, and then try and do the draw. And that's the end of the call I would use.
I like it.
One thing I was trying to do with my freshman girls in the singles yesterday was we're trying to find some better ratio, and I was trying to get them to think about the speed of their boat and to just use the speed of the boat to push them up the slide. So just relax the knees, release the kneecaps, and then just let the boat carry them up.
I like that too.
All right, coxswains, you get to do this on your own. In the email I sent out this morning, there's a worksheet that's going to guide you through some questions as you're watching these videos. There's like 2 or 3 videos in the folder that I provided for you, so just make sure at the top you denote which one you're watching. And yeah, send it to me and your squad coach, and we'll try and give you some feedback before the end of the week. Does anyone have any questions? Great. All right. Thanks, Colleen, for coming.
Thank
Thanks,
you guys for having me.
and, thanks,
pleasure.
Manny, and everyone else who came.
Manny, Cat, all you lovely coxswains.
I feel like I learned a lot about
I did
rowing,
too.
so-
And also, one thing I was thinking a lot about is like how cool it is that you guys are spent, because SRA now has such a robust sculling program. Like what an advantage all of you